and welcome to the third lecture in the module Reason and Persuasion. And in this lecture, I'm going to give you a kind of reading tool that's based on a bit of Aristotle's philosophy of science. I need to pay attention to this because the assessed coursework for this module is using this reading tools, right? So the coursework for this module is not an essay. The coursework for this module is a kind of fancy comprehension exercise using this reading tool that I'm about to describe to you. So I'm going to do four things in four video chunks. First of all, I'm going to describe the bit of Aristotelian philosophy of science that I'm pinching in order to create this tool. Now, this exercise isn't really about that piece of Aristotelian philosophy of science. So I don't want to read descriptions of Aristotelian philosophy of science in your coursework. That's just a bit of intellectual background. It's the bit where I show working, and also it's good for you to learn a bit about Aristotle. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to describe the reading tool that I've made out of this bit of Aristotle, right? So that's the bit you really have to pay attention to, is the comprehension tool that I'm going to describe. The third thing I'm going to do is show you some examples of it in use. I'm going to show you how to use it with some examples. And then finally, I'm going to make some broad philosophical and otherwise hopefully interesting points about the nature of scholarship in the humanities, and that'll be plenty. Okay, so the first thing, Aristotle, as you already know, terribly important. So remember the sequence. You've got Socrates, right, with Hemlock, and then you've got Plato, forms, and then you've got Aristotle, the here and now, the world we actually live in, rather than the world of intellectual forms that Plato was concerned about, right? So Aristotle, tremendously important, so important that in Greece they put him on the stamps. So the thing I want to describe from Aristotle's philosophy of science is his theory of four causes. Now, do not get preoccupied by the word cause. It's one of those words, most of the words like this, that translate very badly from ancient Greek into modern English. You should think of Aristotle's causes as being explanatory factors, questions that you have to answer in order to understand something. So the four questions that Aristotle thinks you have to answer are: what's it made of? What shape is it? What triggered it? Or what were the circumstances, or the time and place questions? And what's the point of it? What overall purpose does it serve? For the sake of what does it exist? Right, so four questions. What's it made of? What shape is it? What circumstances, what triggered it? And what's the point of it? Right? Four questions for anything. And their names are the material cause, the formal cause, the efficient cause, and the final cause. And Aristotle thought that you had to answer these questions to explain the existence of anything at all, whether it's rocks, sticks, stones, rainbows, statues, houses, whatever, right? People. Those four questions, he thought, are pertinent to everything. Well, times have changed, and in modern science, we now think that the last question doesn't really apply to things in nature. So if you look at a mountain. You can say, what's it made of? Well, rock of a certain sort, presumably. What shape is it? Well, it might be, pointy, or it might be sort of rounded. It might be a mountain range, whatever. How did it form? Well, you tell a story about plate tectonics, and one tectonic plate runs up against another one and they push together, and hey ho, you have a mountain. What's the point of it? Question doesn't really make any sense. And it kind of makes sense for the organs of biological organisms. What's the point of your liver? Well, it does a certain job for you. But outside of biology, the final cause doesn't really have a place in natural science anymore. But the four questions that Aristotle asks still very much make sense for artifacts, for things that human beings have made. Because human beings make things for reasons, right? We have some reason for acting. We have some reasons for making things. So a standard example is a statue. A statue of David. And you can ask, well, what's it made of? It might be made of bronze. It might be made of plaster. It might be made of marble. It might be made of wood. Whatever. It's going to be sculpted or cast out of some material. What shape is it? Well, it's David shaped, right? It has the form of David. That's what makes it a statue of David. It might have been cast in it or sculpted out of other materials, but it's the form that makes it a statue of David. What triggered it? What's the efficient cause? Right. So we just did the material cause, the matter, marble or bronze or whatever. The form, the formal cause. It's David shaped. The efficient cause would be the action of the sculptor. Notice that that's a time-stamped event, right? That's somebody's activity. So that's the efficient cause that has happens at a particular time and place. And then the final cause, what's the point of it? Well, it might be for decoration, or it might have a religious purpose, or it might be celebratory, or it might have some higher artistic value than mere decoration. It might, something to do with the sublime. Anyway, the final cause is, what's the point of it? Why? What purpose does this statue serve? You can do the same with a house, for example. What's it made of? Well, it might be made of straw. It might be made of wood. It might be made of brick. What shape is it? Well, it might be a simple hut. It could be a round hut. It could be rectangular, or it could be a longhouse, whatever. It could be whatever shape. It could have 2 or 3 stories. That's all a formal cause. What's the efficient cause? Well, the action of the house builder, right? The activity of whoever built it. And the purpose might be to keep wolves out, right? So the efficient cause might have been the activity of the 3 little pigs, and the purpose, the final cause, the end, might be to keep wolves out. And this raises a point which I will return to, which is, of course, that these 4 elements are always related. If your purpose, if the end, if the final cause is to keep wolves out, then it may be that some matter, bricks, is more effective than other matter, straw or wood. Okay, so that's the bit of Aristotle that we're going to borrow. There's a really interesting story in the history of science about how Aristotle introduces this, and how it's part of philosophy of science for centuries, and how in the early modern period it undergoes a certain sort of transformation, and the formal cause becomes mathematics, basically, and the final cause disappears. We're not going to do that today. Just for the moment, stick with the basic story about the four Aristotelian causes, run through a few examples. Look around you. Think of some artifacts. Think of, your mobile phone, or perhaps a person, or something simple like a meal, and ask yourself, and just do the exercise of answering those four Aristotelian causes. Material, what's it made of? Formal, what shape is it? Efficient, what process in what time and place brought it into being? And final, for the sake of what? So do a few exercises like that, and then come on to the second video. All right, talk to you soon.